Hey, what's up guys? My name is Boda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video, we do have a pretty big update with NATIX. Their token is officially live. So we're going to talk about that token price. We're going to talk about how much we earned throughout the testnet period and a pretty bullish partnership they just announced with a mapping service, right? So we'll talk about that specifically and kind of give some overall value with NATIX if you guys are interested. And we do have a small potential update on Grass. It's looking like the token may be coming out pretty soon, so we'll talk about the updates that have happened there and kind of the value prospects with both of these things. There's a reason I do talk about them together. So if that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get to this thing. So this is going to be an update on NATIX and Grass, and sum it up, the main reason talking about them together, they're both DePin projects that you can essentially earn tokens potentially without any real investment, right? So the big thing with NATIX, if you're not familiar, you can currently map while you're driving, right, using your smartphone. So if you guys are familiar with Hive Mapper, same concept. You open up the app, hit start mapping, it's on there, and you're able to earn tokens. Okay, so pretty cool there. And then Grass is essentially just a Chrome extension that runs in the background on a spare computer, and you're able to earn tokens that way, right? So both of these, the cost is essentially non-existent. With NATIX, as long as you own a phone, that's it. There's not much to it, right? So NATIX, if you're super unfamiliar with it, essentially it's pretty much like what I stated. As you go through the website, though, things are definitely changing. Their vision is starting to get much clearer, right? And there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. So it's not going to be an in-depth video as far as that goes. Go to natix.network and you can read all about it. There's, again, a ton of stuff going on. But essentially, their main thing currently is that it's a global mapping network of smart cameras, right? And they're kind of starting to change the verbiage in that direction. You can see down here as well. NATIX's Internet of Cameras. You can kind of see they're giving us a hint as to what's coming next. CCTVs, drone cameras, different things. You can kind of see how they're kind of expanding here, right? So as we go down, as far as looking at potential prospects with it, like, okay, is there something there? Is it, depends on whether you believe in all the marketing schemes, not schemes, but marketing information. It's totally up to you. What kind of drew my attention, kind of scrolling through the site, and something we talked about in the last video, was the amount of VC money in. Okay, so that to me is very interesting because essentially want to be swimming with the whales, right? You know that these guys are going to get their money back. So that right off the bat, especially if there's big names involved, that to me is very appealing, especially for it being a new coin going into its first bull market. Okay. So some standouts here, and these are the two big ones for me, is DCG, which is Digital Currency Group, and Crypto.com was also a new one, right? So they have a marketing partner there. Also, you can see down here Crypto Banter. So from the marketing perspective, as far as having like a YouTuber talking about it and such, you see BlackRock, one of their arms is here. So a lot of bullish stuff here. DCG being the primary one. So if you're not familiar, DCG is huge in the crypto space as far as the crypto VCs. It's probably the biggest. It's headed by or founded by Barry Silbert, right? If you're unfamiliar with him, a lot of controversy, especially recently, right? If you guys remember all the crap that happened with Genesis, yes, that's this company. It's a subsidiary of DCG. As we go down, there's Genesis there. Also, I'm sure you've heard of Grayscale. Yes, that Grayscale with the ETFs and their massive holdings. They are a subsidiary of DCG. DCG is the parent company of all of this, okay, including for you BTC miners. I'm sure you've heard of Foundry. So, lot of cash here. Okay, they have their AUM as 50 billion back in September 21. I'm sure it's quite drastically different, but they are a huge player in the space. Okay, you can go through their portfolio. You can see their crazy amount of investments all over the crypto sector. Okay, so pretty bullish there. Pretty big news, but let's talk about this partnership now. And this is where it gets pretty interesting. So they did do a partnership now with Mapbox, which I wasn't too familiar with until I looked them up, and a pretty big deal. Okay, so number one, it's going to be a pretty interesting integration. So it does seem like you will be able to have this navigation app running as you're running your NATIX, right? I think that was a big complaint with them. If a lot of people use their phone for their navigation, right, using Google Maps, something of that sort. So obviously, if you're mapping with that thing, it's kind of screwing you there. But now it seems like you are going to be able to use this guy, right? So you will have a navigation app as you're mapping, right? So pretty cool stuff there. What's more interesting is how big Mapbox is. I never really heard of them, or I thought I never have, but it turns out you most likely have in some capacity because they are used by a bunch of companies. So this is an extremely ideal partnership. So as you go through their customers, which again they're using all their navigation data, all their mapping data, which obviously is the type of partnership you want to get if you are NATIX, if you're a Hive Mapper, anybody, this is a premier one. Okay, we don't know the extent of this partnership. Is it just that they're being able to use the navigation app on there, or are they going to be using data from NATIX? Maybe it's the beginning of a bigger partnership, right? We don't know the full extent of it. Maybe once we get more info, we can fully clarify, but it's definitely a pretty big deal because as you go through, a lot of big names. Okay, BMW, GM, Rivian, Instacart, Toyota, weather companies, Strava, CNN, AccuWeather. The list goes on, right? And I kind of didn't really pay attention, but actually, as I was even doing the Helium video the other day, even Helium's planner, you can kind of see in the left bottom corner here, does use Mapbox as well. So they are a big name in this specific space. Okay, so very potentially big deal, right? So pretty good stuff there. As far as token price goes, so this is why I wasn't expecting a whole lot as far as once it went live, which is expected. Again, small coin, but for me the value is realistically I didn't really care what the value was because it's just going to be holding it, right? At this point, it's essentially a free coin. As far as what I earned throughout that time, currently have about 25,000 NATIX, which is worth a whopping 18 bucks. So it does seem like also since this thing went live, because I'm actually a little bit late on it, did go live a week or two ago. Currently still mapping. I'm only mapping kind of when I remember. But through the gamification process, the way it works now, you're kind of earning a lot more of the points doing the little task, the little game thing. They're trying to gamify it. It does seem like a lot of people dropped off though, because already we're almost a third of the way into the month. And currently my estimate for the month is about what I have in total right now. So it does seem like the amount of people have fallen off because of this. So people saw the price action, like, I'm done with it. To me, that's kind of the wrong mind frame. The mind frame here is that should have been expected. And this is more of a long-term hold, and realistically, this is the time to actually be earning rewards. Okay, so from my perspective, I'm looking at it in like what happened with Hive Mapper, for example. Okay, this is the time you wanted to get back in, right? During the beginning, when it was boring, when it was easy to get the cameras, when nobody wanted to do it because it's only earning a few pennies a day. Well, that turned into a pretty big deal. Okay, so right now you kind of have the potential of getting in down here. And in this case, this is kind of a little bit more beneficial because again, all you need is your smartphone. You don't need a proprietary camera to do this thing. Okay, so it's not really costing you anything other than time of putting it on your dash and hitting a button. Okay, so for me, definitely going to continue doing it. Am I going to sell any of it? No. I'm going to wait until there's a bump, which there may be, there may not be, right? This thing may end up flopping, may end up going to zero, but again, it's not costing you anything if you're earning it. Obviously, there's potential for you to buy it if you'd like, which I personally did, not financial advice, not trying to shill this thing, but for me, I definitely see potential value here, especially when we look at the current price, when we look at the market cap, right? Market cap is currently only 11 million, so it's currently ranked number 1,223. The fully diluted valuation is 71 million. So there's a lot in circulating supply, and there's still going to be a lot dumped, right? Obviously, it's a VC coin. Investors and such will eventually get there. So just keep in mind, it is going to have those dynamics. You do got to pay attention to those token unlocks. And then the bull market, it's going to be a game of who dumps first kind of thing. So keep all those things into consideration. But even with those things in mind, for me, a lot of potential upside here, right? So again, as we look at the market cap, if we look at it in comparison to like Hive Mapper, for example, it's 11 million here, 138 million here, right? So even if we just go based off of it only reaching where Hive Mapper's market cap is currently in the bear market. So again, this is current market cap price where it's at this current low, considering where it was before, and considering we're nowhere near the bull market. Okay, just for it to reach where Hive Mapper is right now, that's a 12x. Okay, so extreme potential. Again, not financial advice, not telling you to buy this thing. It's just these are the types of things I'm more looking for currently. I'm looking for coins right now where this is their first bull market, coins that have potential, that have that, 10, 20, 30, 40x potential. Not saying it's going to happen here. Again, it can go to zero, but these are the types of things I do kind of look for, right? Even as a lottery play, even again, tossing $100 in here, and it does a 100x and it turns into quite a significant amount. Okay, so again, not saying it's going to happen, but these are the types of things I look for, especially with it being such a tiny market cap. You're currently able to earn for free when you see these type of VC investors, right? It's looking pretty good in my opinion. Okay, so currently it is fairly cheap. Again, it just launched, and typically what happens with these launches, the prices tend to go down quite a bit. So overall, it did pump a little bit initially for a little bit. It is back down, and it's just been hovering in this range. So can it go lower? Sure, it can go down another 50%. But for me, it's like the whole risk to reward thing, right? Again, even if it goes down 50% from here, if we're factoring in the potential of a 10, 20, 30x, it's negligible, right? So for like me personally, I did purchase some. It's not something where I'm going all in, or literally a couple $100, right? At this point, it's like, why not? If it does something cool, and if it doesn't, also cool, worth the risk. But for me, these are the types of things I look for. They're definitely developing. They're definitely doing partnerships, and such a tiny market cap. In my opinion, looking pretty good. So enough of that. Let's go to grass. So they haven't officially confirmed, but they're giving all the hints that it's probably coming, not in the next few weeks, but probably in the next few months, which kind of depending on your viewpoint could be kind of a good thing, because realistically, if it were to come out tomorrow, again, it would be similar to like the NATIX situation where it would just be a crappy release, right? Ideally, the most opportune time is to release it once the market's kind of pumping a little bit, right? Because you're going to get a little bit more hype. But essentially, what they gave us today is tomorrow, Epoch 7 will begin, and it's the last epoch. Okay, so it's been going on for like 5-6 months now. I started back in February, March, somewhere around there. So pretty interesting project, not necessarily super bullish on it or anything, but again, it's just the fact that it's essentially free to be earning these tokens. I just have it running on the spare computer that's just running 24/7 in the background, just continuing to earn tokens, right? Doesn't really eat up any power, much internet. It runs, it doesn't affect anything, so I'm good with it. I've been stacking coins for quite a while. Maybe it's worth something, maybe it's not, but again, they're giving us the clue here that the final epoch is coming. Another clue is that for any guys who are currently doing it, make sure you start adding your wallet address. There is a thing where you can add your Solana wallet now. You have to verify your email, so make sure you do all those things ahead of time in preparation for this. This is typically what we start seeing when they're starting to get close to the TGE event, so once it starts actually releasing. But again, it's probably going to be a similar thing for me where regardless of the current price, I'll probably just be holding it because again, it's essentially free tokens. We'll see. Maybe there is hype behind it at the time once it finally drops, and maybe I do consider selling. So there currently is a way to sell the points. It's not a guaranteed sell. The way it works, it's based on collateral, right? They put up 50% of the collateral. So even though you may buy it at a crazy deal, if they decide to just keep them and lose half the collateral, they'll kind of do that. And same thing when you're selling. So kind of keep those dynamics in mind. But if we go based off of the current value, which is going to be kind of skewed, if you go based off of the current price, they have it at 0.000, like 5 zeros and then 9112, which really skewed the metrics because it was one seller here at the end, and this is the most recent one, and he sold at a very drastic price, which is very drastically different from the others. You can see the other recent sales are more in the 0.30s and 722. Like, it's kind of been hovering more in that range. So this was a pretty drastic sale that kind of took the overall price, but something to keep in mind there. So it kind of does give you a guesstimate of what it could potentially be worth, just depending on the amount of points you have. So for example, basing it off of more of this average, like in this price range, my allocation would be worth like $400 or $500, which we'll see if it comes to fruition or not. But again, I'll most likely just be holding anyway. For any guys who are interested in this thing, I will have a referral link in the description. Again, it's just a Chrome web extension. They also did add a new one now, actually. When you sign up, there is an option to add a like node, right? And you're going to get another multiplier and potentially earn more coins that way, or more points that way, I should say. I currently didn't do it. Like, for me, it's not to have that like quarter of a point, because it goes up from being a 1x multiplier for the regular Chrome extension and a 1.25 for doing the small node, right? For that, seems like it might take a few more resources for that little amount for only 1 month. When I've been doing it for so long, it's not really going to be worth it for me, because I will probably, depending on the price action here, may continue it, may not. We'll see what happens, but you can read into the project if you're interested. Again, my main appeal is just the fact that it's an easy way to earn tokens. What's one thing that is kind of a turnoff, and I'm kind of participating in that part, is that it's kind of like Ponzi-ish, just because a lot of it is based off of referrals, right? Which most of the points I've gotten have just been points from the thing. I think I have a total of like 3 referrals. Which, again, it doesn't really matter. But if you guys are interested, you do earn some points, and I do earn some points as well there. But for me, that was kind of a turnoff. But to me, it's more of a hype kind of thing, right? When you read through the project, when you guys are interested in actually reading through it, it's a lot of buzzwords. It kind of makes sense. It kind of doesn't. We have to see the extent of it. I think once it's fully released and there's more info on what's going on, it could potentially be more interesting. I think realistically, once we see the price action, that'll kind of give us a bigger ballpark. To me, I'm not a big fan of the whole referral thing. That kind of screams like Ponzi and like dumping at launch. So we'll see. I'm not super bullish on it. But if it turns into something cool, if it doesn't, also cool. Again, doesn't really take up any resources. It's a free to earn thing. Like, if I had to pay for a node license or pay to get the node, that's a whole different thing. Again, that's another immediate turnoff. Just like with those ETCMC nodes, those kind of things. Not a big fan of those things, but it is something that's interesting. Easy way to get tokens. So again, I will have that link in the description, guys. But the one I'm definitely more bullish on, and I do see potential with, is definitely NATIX, right? So a lot of updates here. Any guys who are even remotely interested, I would recommend reading through kind of everything. A lot of stuff going on. Borderline a little bit too much. I like it more when they're focused on one specific thing. Like, if they were to just focus on here, which it does seem like they are. They haven't really expanded too much on the other things. Where they kind of lost me at is on the land thing. You guys will see if you guys read into it. But pretty interesting. VC money. High potential. We'll see if it plays out. Let me know in the comments, guys. Have you guys, I know some of you guys have been doing the NATIX thing. Did you guys earn much? I know it's kind of been tricky, and a lot of people got super turned off by the price action. But again, this is the time, right? This is when you want to be accruing this thing, whether it's buying, earning it, whatever. You want to get in the boring times in hopes that this happens. Will it? Won't it? Who knows? Let me know what you guys think in the comments, guys. So please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching, and we are out.